What's up, Netflix and chillmates? There's a new German historical war drama series that is completely under my radar, but I've decided to give it a watch since it's gaining hype. The show is called Barbarians, a series created by Andreas Heckmann, Arne Nolting, and Jeanne Martin. Here's my review coming right up, but before I begin, if you are new to the channel, please hit that like button and subscribe to us for weekly reviews of movies, TV shows, and video games. Now, I don't really know much about the history of the Barbarians. They're not really much portrayed on screen. The last movie that I've seen, I think it's Conan the Barbarian, starring Jason Momoa, but I barely remember that movie, and I think it's not that much of good of a movie. So in terms of similar shows, I would liken this to Vikings, Rome, Spartacus, those typical sword and sandal dramas. There's no sci-fi element into this show, so it's more of a back to basics medieval drama. So don't expect Game of Thrones level here in terms of scope and storytelling. But you know, historical war drama is right up on my alley, so I clearly have the appetite for this. In here, we finally know what a barbarian means, because barbarian, that term is just a derogatory term given by the Romans against these tribes who were trying to go up against them. I've looked into some of the reviews online and I found some mixed receptions on its historical accuracy, but you know what, this is not a documentary, this is a drama, so I'm going to give a pass on that. And for someone who has not much knowledge on the European history, I think it's for the best that I know little of the subject, because I won't get nitpicky. And don't get me wrong, I know some of the people value historical accuracy, and I believe filmmakers must strive for it as much as they can, but you know, when producing a series like this, there are some financial constraints. There are multiple of reasons here, so I valued this solely as entertainment, so I think that helped in my viewing experience. The one thing, however, that I can be proud this show gets it right is I think this is the first show that Romans don't speak English, they speak Latin for once. So the show definitely gets it right, and the way that the script blends German and Latin language, I think it's very immersive and interesting. Needless to say, I will be recommending you to go watch this on the original language 99% of the time, because you won't really get much of emotional depth, the inflections from the real actors. And since this is only 6 episodes, that number is perfect for binging. The story never gets too dragging, the storyline feels condensed, but at the same time there's a clear plotting and characterization, so you'll never get lost. In essence, this whole miniseries is about the backstory of the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest, and this is such a pivotal moment in the Roman history because this is the time when the barbarians ambushed the Romans, and in fact they prevented the Northern Europe expansion of the Romans, because that time the Romans seems to be an unstoppable force. They have demanded such an extortionate amount of tributes. Apart from the conflict among the Romans and the Germans, the main goal here is for the Germanic tribes who seems to be divided. They need to be united so they can really fight back against this history's cruel and arrogant Roman Empire. We don't really get to see much of the perspective of the Romans here, but this is the show that focuses on the barbarians, so I don't really mind them being portrayed as these cartoonish villains. In a way, it's a David and Goliath story. It's about them trying to fight against their oppressors, and the running theme of the show is about betrayal and revenge. The show poses trust as some sort of a weakness, because when you place your trust on someone, I think it leaves you open for betrayal, since some of the characters here are out for their own good, how to usurp the power. This will be part of the moral dilemmas that the characters here will have to deal on. That momentous battle of the Teutoburg Forest only happens on the 6 episodes, and in terms of action, I think the show has delivered it more on small doses. This is more of a character-driven story than we actually thought, and it's actually well written that I expected based on the trailer, because you're going to expect a lot of fights, violence, and gore, and the show uses that, but you know, it never relies on that. It never felt too gratuitous for a show called Barbarians, where there are plenty of opportunities in fights to display the violence and gore. It's nice that the show knows when and when not to dole out that gore and violence, and also engage its audiences in effective emotional moments as well. And speaking of, the core part of the show would have to be the friendship between these 3 main characters. These are 3 childhood friends who are separated at birth. There's Arminius, played by by Laurence Rupp. He is the most captivating character here because at a young age, he was sort of offered as a ward to the Roman Empire by his father, who happens to be a village leader as well, to maintain the peace between the communities. And along the way, as he grew up, he became a trusted advisor to this Roman general Varus. He was given this advanced military education. Now that the Romans and the Barbarians are in conflict with each other, he finds himself on the fence on whose side he will be going, because the Romans don't really accept him with this barbarian blood, and same with the Barbarians. So in here throughout the show, you can see him doing a lot of surprising choices, which still feels human. And to see the moral dilemma of this character, I actually wish that we get to know more of this character, but we only have 6 episodes to deal with, and I think the show has done a good deal in making his decisions exciting but grounded at the same time. And also, Laurence Rupp here is easily the best actor in this series, and on top of that confused allegiance, he finds himself pitted against his childhood friends, Tusnelda and Poquin, because the two have done something risky here in episode 1 that represents as an act of rebellion. So he's going to decide if he's going to honor the pact that they made since they were children, or he's going to break it for the romance. And then the most likable character here would no doubt will have to be Tusnelda, played by Jeanne Goursaud. That girl power aspect of the show is definitely a nod to the woke culture that we have. Since they are barbarians and women at the time are being valued as commodity, we first saw her here being traded for 5 horses to another prince of a different tribe. But as the series progressed on, we learned that she is more than that. She's a leader material. She's going to be a pivotal character in bringing these tribes together, and she continues to fight on what she believes, which sometimes can be her downfall too. So in here, she had a lot of things to do, whether it comes to the witchy incantations or to the battlefield. She's also secretly in love with this another childhood friend, Poquin Wolfspear, played by David Schütter. Such a badass name, by the way. It feels triumphant and novel. He's another fierce character who's going to be fighting for what he believes. He's also extremely loyal. Together with Tusnelda, they're not the smartest pair, but it's easy to root for them because the show plays this sort of a love triangle with Arminius, but it never feels too soap opera. It's just one of those relationships that the show needs to forge so that we can care more about them. The actors here, specifically the 3 main characters here, are relatively low profile. I think the producers intended not to cast A-listers, but I think they actually did a pretty fine job. They had the intensity when needed because these are barbarians. So whether it's be delivering big speeches or going into fight, plus the dialogue is mostly kept into a minimum to achieve better pacing. When it comes to the production values, I think this is handsomely produced, even though it's a small scale story. The dresses, the houses, the weapons, they did really everything right. And when it comes to the cinematography, there are a lot of striking visuals here, that evocative imagery that's actually worthy of a big screen. All in all, this show is nothing really revolutionary. The script hit all the marks, all the plot beats of a standard sword and sandal drama, the sex, the violence, the gory fights. But I think the show does it decently, and I think this is already a good medieval drama, an absorbing tale of vengeance and betrayal. There's some occasional bits of humor and folklore mythology in there, but if you have the appetite for this will definitely quench your bloodthirst. I'm going to give this series a 4 out of 5 stars. I wouldn't mind seeing a second season because there's going to be a change in the social status of the characters by the end of it. So it would be nice to see how that psychological conflicts play out. And also there's a snake in the grass character here that I would like to see his comeuppance come on that second season. So that's it for my review of Barbarians and Netflix German series. How about you guys? Have you seen this show? Let me know what you think in the comment sections below. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to us for weekly content. Thank you so much for watching. Until then, see you on the next one.